Everyone, hope you're enjoying the beautiful weather, that your summer is going well. I myself was just vacationing in the beautiful state of South Carolina at Myrtle Beach. It was awesome. The weather was beautiful. The beaches are gorgeous. So I hope you're taking advantage of your summer and really enjoying yourself. Today we have a lot of interesting questions to tackle. And the first one is from Muriel Goodrich. Muriel asked, how do I approach a brick and mortar restaurant about a potential partnership to use their liquor license? Aisle Bartend is a mobile mixology service. I started the business in spite of COVID in November of 2020. I started it with the last of my savings, and after being out of work and out of my normal manager's salary for 9 months, my service is very different than any other mobile services. I do not want to do a crazy long description like I did in my last question. However, it's important to know that my ideas have been stolen time and time again in every business venture I've ever started. I do admire that you keep dusting yourself off and getting up and trying over and over again. As somebody who started 25 different ventures, I know how that feels. In the state of Florida, you must own a 150-seat restaurant already operating with a liquor license in order to obtain a mobile liquor license. Being that I do not have a restaurant, I have found very creative ways to get around having a liquor license for private and public events. People keep encouraging me to reach out to restaurant owners and explain that I have found a giant hole in the market that needs to be filled. My fear is that as soon as I open my mouth, they will realize that this is a huge need, purchase a few good trailers, and take my ideas. Why would they need me if they already have the license in deeper pockets than I do? I just learned tonight that an old friend of mine recently got his license, and I feel safer approaching him than anyone else. What would you make it worth it while for him to risk his license or to partner with me? First of all, I again admire the fact that you have created your own job and have started your own venture. And I'm sure because of your knowledge of this space that you're going to be very successful. Now, in terms of worrying about whether somebody steals your idea, honestly, don't bother worrying about that. Stay focused on what you're doing and the prize, which is for you to be successful in your new venture, and only focus on how do you go about executing what you're doing. So that being said, you are looking for a strategic partner. And for a strategic partner, there's not really a big risk here. You can do this in a couple different ways. One way, and if I were you, I would think about doing this, is you could go and have them do a test run of this and see how it works out, and then form a separate corporation where you could have a strategic partnership. Now, that being said, before you even do that, you need to contact an attorney in the state of Florida and find out what you can do and what you can do. So I would contact an attorney, find out what you're able to do in terms of partnering with someone, go to your friend who has the liquor license, and show them financials about what they could potentially make above and beyond what they're already making. Because the only way it makes it worthwhile for your friend to take this on, besides wanting to help you, but for something that could last for a long time and make a lot of money for you and for your partner, is that they have to go and see what the potential is. So you want to show them both financial forecast about what it would be if you did it for them, show them what percentage of the revenue that they would go and get, find out what would be fair for both of you, and then say, let's just give this a 30-day or 60-day test run. Figure out how long it will take to prove out whether this makes sense or not. My guess is that no more than 60 days and no less than 30 days you would be able to see, because once you've done it one weekend and people like it, then they come back again, they bring their friends, and those friends bring friends, and you're able to see pretty quickly if this thing is going to take off. And then I would put in writing how you plan to go and partner. That doesn't mean that you could do this and your partner could not go and steal this idea, but is it worth it to him or her to go off and run with your idea? Isn't it make more sense for them just to go and allow you to go and do this and take no risk whatsoever except having the space and using the liquor license? If they feel they want a better deal from you, they can always negotiate with you to get even more of the income, but still has to make sense for you. And if you prove it out with that person, then you can go and duplicate that with other restaurants. In fact, other bar restaurants, once they hear this is successful, they're probably going to come to you and ask you if you'd be willing to do it with them. And the only thing you're going to have to worry about is your partner saying, hey, I don't want you doing this within a certain mile radius. And that would be the best thing that could happen to you, because it means it's really successful. So again, go to an attorney, find out what you can and can't do, create a projection based on what you think this thing can make, and show him how much money they would go and make by you doing it. And then ask for 90 days with the idea that you can negotiate to go between 30 and 60 days. Start with a bigger number so they can negotiate down. They might even say, 90 days sounds reasonable, maybe we should do it longer. So again, that's what I would do if I were you. The next question is from Vesna Dejanvaska. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. Her question is, any tips on establishing a collaboration with other companies for a contract, methods, pricing? Business description. I'm a new member. I just joined AO and I'm establishing my first business after working in the corporate world. My LLC is for HR consulting and coaching, and in addition to my services, I would like to collaborate with a partner, with other companies. I would like to get some tips on the contracts and overall partnership. For example, recruitment. On behalf of a well-known network, I would do all the steps and sales and business development for a company in Europe that would be providing their services in the USA. In both cases, I've been approached by friends that I've worked with well, and I would like to be aware on some tips before getting into contracts with them. Thank you in advance. So there's a couple things I would do if I were you. One is that I would talk to an attorney who's put contracts together for consulting businesses. So you might talk the International Management Consulting Association, I believe that's the name of the trade association, and get some referrals about someone, a lawyer who's done this kind of work. Or I would go on LinkedIn and let the word out that you're looking for a good attorney who's put these kinds of contracts together. Second is I would outline on a paper what exactly they expect you to do and what you're willing to do for them and what it would cost for you to go and do it. Is it a combination of a flat fee every month plus a bonus based on performance? Is it a flat fee and you get a commission because you're doing recruiting work? It all depends on the type of work that you're doing, but I like laying it out on paper. I like to put together a financial model and determine what is it I need to make this worthwhile. How big does this gig have to be? If I'm doing recruiting, what kind of people am I actually going to recruit? And figure all that out before you actually get into a discussion with them, because you might do a financial model and say, God, this isn't worth doing. Or you might look and say, my gosh, this is amazing. And now you need to put in writing what your understanding of their expectation is, what you're going to be doing for that, and what you think is fair and reasonable to be compensated for doing it. And then you should have an attorney take a look at that and first get the client to agree with the basic writing, and then you can have a lawyer put it in writing for you. The company that you're working with, they probably have in-house counsel. Some people say they rather go and do it themselves and then give it to the client. But oftentimes the client will say, no, we'll have our in-house counsel do it, and your counsel can go and review it, and then you can negotiate the differences in whatever that may be. So again, do your financial model first to make sure it's worthwhile, or at least to understand what you think you need to charge to make it worthwhile. Lay out everything of what they expect you to do and what you're going to do to execute whatever that is in that contract. And then once you guys have agreed to that, then take it to the attorneys to go and make sure that whatever you do is legal and binding and protecting you in the state that you're located in, because every state is different. And you have to be careful. If it's a European company, do they have an incorporated entity in the United States? And if they're incorporated in Delaware, then you have to take a look at Delaware law to see how you could be protected if in fact something goes wrong with this. So again, start with that financial model, put together that one-page document or two-page document about who's responsible for what. Then, if everybody agrees, show it to the attorneys, and then go from there. The next question comes from Gabriel Suarez. Gabriel says, I'm looking for suggestions or ideas for incentivizing team members for raising their total sales during shifts. Ideally, suggestions that have been tried before with positive outcomes. Okay, so I have a chain of retail stores specializing in natural and holistic wellness. This objective of raising sales can be done in a few ways, like getting more customers, having them come back after more offer, and in my opinion, the easiest one would be to improve and upselling existing customers. My biggest challenge is finding an incentive program that encourages more sales without creating tension between team members who have them in any way feel that the reward system is unfair or favorable to someone. We have some employees that work a lot of hours than others. Some work on busier days than others. One thing that I considered may be good is reward based on each employee's average sale value. Instead of total sales or some metric, we have some stores doing a lot better than others. I'm starting to feel that there's more the staff working in the shops over is the location or demographics. I'm the founder of a natural life stores franchise company offering brick and mortar franchise opportunities. Natural Life is a chain of retail wellness and health stores specializing in all natural products. So, based on my working with companies in this field of retail and how do you incentivize people to go and do this? First of all, I always tell, and you should always have this, is that your salespeople have to be really engaged in the products you're selling. They have to be excited about what they're doing. It can't be that you hire people who are just looking for a job just to bring in some money to take care of their bills. They have to really believe in what you're doing. Then the second part of that is they really have to care about the customers when they walk in and what's good for the customer. If they focus on what's good for the customer, everybody makes money. But if you have them focused on trying to upsell them and sell things that have the highest margins, eventually you'll lose customers because they feel you won't have their best interest at heart. So you want your salespeople to have your customer's best interest, forgetting how big the sale is. Because if your salespeople are knowledgeable about your products and they ask the right questions, training is really important to asking the right questions to the customer, they'll be able to sell them more than the customer walked in looking to go and buy. Because once they ask that series of questions and ask the customer if they considered it, and if they don't push very hard, they'll sell it out. Now, that being said, I would try a commission structure for them. So an hourly wage, because there's ups and downs in retail and there are busier times than others and so forth. And so I would give that salary. And also I would rotate people. If you say that there are days and hours that are better than others, then maybe you have two things to do. One is either rotate people so everybody gets a chance at those great hours, or two, have a higher commission structure when it's harder to sell. So let's say that Monday from 10 a.m. when you open the store till 5 p.m., the commission structure is higher, maybe by 10 or 20% than it would be if you're trying to sell things on a Saturday or Sunday when people have more time and are typically coming into the store. So again, think about how you might go and create different scenarios for people. And then once I created that structure and I financially modeled it out, then I would involve the employees and get their feedback and say, here's the model I've come up with. Does anybody not think this is a fair way to go? Is there anybody who can think of a better way to go? And I don't think it hurts for them to know what you need to make as a profit in any of these things, so they understand, because you're taking all the risk. You built the store, you're putting out all the money, so they of course they expect that you're going to want to make money, but you have a target about what you need to make as well. And I think my experience has been, when I've had salespeople, that the more they knew and the more they understood the formula, how it was arrived at, and that they were stakeholders in the formula and were able to provide input into it, the easier it was to sell them on it, and the more they embraced it and the harder they worked, because they felt like it was a fair deal, because they were part of the construction of that fair deal. So that's what I would do if I were you. The next question is from Kristen Pitts. Kristen writes, what type of POS system do you recommend using to track inventory, or should we keep things as is? Is there a big enough benefit to a uniform system? Should we invest in one to supply all of our shops? Majority of our golf course owners are older and don't want to upgrade their systems. Some courses are more up to date and would be open to it. If it makes sense to upgrade, how would you handle a change like this for our course owners? What's in it for them? Thank you for your time. So the business description is, we merchandise 13 golf pro shops. The golf course owners outsource the shops to us to handle, and they get a 15% cut of the merchandise sold. They write us a check each month for our 85%. We deliver, set up, remove old products, etc. Our staff is delivery and warehouse. We do not have staff at shops. They use their staff, golf pros, etc. to sell the products. Each shop has their own POS system to handle everything in their course, including tee times, our retail, food sometimes. Every course is unique. Some of them have created their own SKU numbers for our products. Others have just one single button for our products. A physical count inventory is done each month. We track everything on an Excel to email and invoice each month. So, Kristen, I really think it would be good to have it all on one system, and I'll tell you why I think this would be good. One is that you're able to compare all of these courses individually easier. Two is you're able to give reports to all of your clients, letting them know what the trends are and what's selling and what isn't selling. And some of your clients might see, oh my gosh, we think we could sell more of that if you gave it to us. And the people who are in the front line, if they see what the numbers are over 15 different golf courses, and they see what the trends are, then they can understand also what they might want to promote in their shops. They might also understand and learn from your folks about what things aren't selling and that you might think about getting rid of, but what things are selling that you really want to push, or new things that are coming in. And also, I would have a training class for all of these people so everybody is trained the same way, and I would ask them for their input after you show them how you plan to train them, what kinds of products. Get them involved, the people who are on the front line selling, get them involved in the structure of how you go and sell it, what products are chosen, so they feel they're part of it. So I think it sounds like a great business model to me. But if, in fact, you are the one who is responsible for the POS system and you own the POS system, I would do it on one. If you're saying you have to deal with each of theirs and theirs are tied into their accounting packages, well, that might make it a little bit more difficult. So you'd have to find out, is there one POS system that you can use for all 15 that you can keep growing as you grow beyond 15 courses that could easily tie into their accounting package? And if all these courses are using the same accounting package, then that would make it a lot easier, because there might be a POS system that's just for golf courses, and so that might make it easy. If they're using something like the different the different accounting packages that most businesses use in the U.S., like Intuit's product, then you'll have to just see if in fact you can tie yours into that particular product. But I do like the idea for you to be able to see all the trends that are happening, be able to easily manipulate and stock all of these different courses by the fact that you're looking all at the same information. And I like the idea that once a month, you'd be able to go and share with all the golf courses on a Zoom call or a teleconference, letting them know what's going on, because the more information they have, the better they have at their own planning, and good suggestions will happen. If you have all these different programs, I'm sure it's more costly to manage these different POS systems, but also you're probably not getting the best quality information, at least information that you can say is consistent and can be shared with everybody, because you're all looking at the same apples and oranges comparisons. Oscar Rodriguez asked, "Hi Sean, I'm getting my business going. How do you recommend for me to pay myself? I'm in the car business. Should I pay myself from each sale I do? Is there a formula or percentage I should put aside from each sale for overhead and to pay myself? Thank you." So, Oscar, what I would do if I were you, and I'm sure you must have worked in the car business before, so you probably saw what other owners are doing. I would contact the Car Dealers Association in your region and ask them, what model do people typically do when paying themselves? My guess is that you take a look at all the cars that you sold, all the things that you do, like if you have a garage, if you provide any ancillary services, and you're probably maybe not making so much in the car as the ancillary services. If you're just selling the car, then you have to build in a net profit percentage in each sale of every car that's going to go to you. If you have salespeople, then you're probably splitting that commission. So I would, again, as I keep mentioning all the time, is create a financial model, but match it against what other people are doing, because there must be a standard in your industry. So I would, you probably saw it for whoever you worked for in the past, because I'm guessing you didn't just jump into the car business. You probably were working for someone else, decide to go on your own, so you have a sense of that. You could also call car dealerships in areas outside of your own that you're not competing against them, and talk to them about what they do. And of course, as I mentioned, there are car dealership associations, and those folks can share with you information, and there are probably consultants on there that already maybe even created financial models that you could use and provide you with advice on this. You know, yours is not like the typical business where you might go and take a look, you know, at a retail store and you're selling all these different products and you have your cost for electric and rent and all these things, and at the end, you know that the retail products have a significant markup and it's all pretty much consistent. In cars, it all depends on the model of the car, how much that you bought the car for, and how much you're selling it for, how long you've had the car on the lot, how much the bank is charging you in interest for every day that that car is on your lot. So there's a lot of variables here. So every car ends up selling at a different price with different margins. So again, you have to take a look at this and say, here is what I need to make at a minimum. And so if this car sells in this many days and it's at this price with this kind of margin after the car manufacturer gets it, or if I'm just selling used cars, what I bought it at, then you can figure out, here's a minimum I need to make in order to cover the rent, the electric, the insurance, the health insurance, all the different things that you have to cover. So you have a sense of that when you do it. Again, I would financial model, contact folks that you're not competing with, contact the Car Dealership Association, find out anybody who's an expert in this area to help you create that financial model, and then you have a better sense of what you should be charging. The next question is from Corey Stevens. Corey asked, how can I overcome the fear of starting a conversation with someone? I'm in network marketing, and I'm looking to build relationships with people. I'm great interacting one-on-one with people when the conversation's flowing. But when it comes to starting a conversation with a complete stranger, I feel like some things just block me. I go through how the conversation will go in my head, and it sounds great. When it actually comes to start the conversation, I just have this mental block and procrastinate over doing it. What are the ways I can overcome this? You're asking the right guy, because the very first book of my 6 books I've written is called Power Networking. And I've had many friends who are very shy and hard at starting the conversation, and then once they got it rolling, they were great. It's really simple. When I go and meet someone for the first time and I see their name badge, or if it's not a name badge on them, I just introduce myself to them, and I always ask them, so what do you do? So if I'm at a networking event and I see their name badge, I'll say, hey, John, my name's Marc Kramer. What brought you out here today? And what company do you work for? And people love to talk about themselves. All you ever have to say to them is, what brought you here? And that will start the conversation. Or, hey, who do you work for and what do you do? And I'd like to learn more. So if you just say, John, what do you do and who do you work for? And John says, oh, I work for Ford Motor Company. I'm an engineer and I work in developing vans. Okay, now you're able to kickstart that conversation. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. A lot of people, when they come to an event, they get so nervous about starting the conversation. But just think to yourself, all you want to do is say to the person, hi, I'm Marc Kramer, and I'm curious, what brought you out here? Or I'd like to know about what you do. You know, what kind of work do you do? And people are always glad to share about the kind of work that they do, insurance agents, accounting, whatever. And then you're able to start answering questions. So for you, it's just the opening, and that is, you're an event, what brought you out here? And if it's not an event, you're just standing in line at the ticket counter to get a ticket to a movie, or you're waiting for your airplane. I've met a lot of great people on airplanes and trains. All I do is say, hey, what do you do? And people just love to talk about that. So that's the easiest way to go about doing it. Quade Sturdy asked the question, what makes more sense, targeting one specific field, scaling, then expanding, or slowing the growth process and build systems for all targeted avenues along the way? He writes about his background and company description. I intend to scale my company to operate across many facets of construction. I am unsure whether it's smarter to learn all the avenues I wish to pursue from the start, or start with a direct focus, then expand as we scale. Extra info if needed. My thoughts are, the more we keep in-house, the better numbers we can pull. However, that entails more risk, as I need to employ a much larger team. Focusing has benefits of building a reputable name in a field. However, this will cause lost time learning the other fields. I always suggest, and if you're in construction, focus on a specific area and develop a reputation for that. If you're good at building condos, stick to that until you're building enough business in that you decide you're going to go and expand. If you're going to go and expand, go and find somebody who also has a reputation in that space and bring them in as your manager or partner for that particular area so they can get off to a running start. But it's best to start with an area. There's no business that didn't start in one area, go deep, and was successful, and then move on to the next one. Nobody starts and saying, we're going to offer 5 different products in 5 different areas, and we're going to master them all, because there's not enough money to do it. Remember, Amazon started by selling books. Apple started by selling computers. Microsoft started by selling a software package to run your computer. Then they expanded out and started selling more things. And everything that they sell is interrelated to their core businesses, right? So, you know, in Amazon's case, they were retailing books, so they were able to show that, hey, we can have all types of books, and we could go and sell this. So why not start letting other people come on and selling shirts and hats and pants and pots and pans? And before you know it, there's nothing in the world you can't buy on Amazon. If you take a look at Apple Computer, look at what they go and do. They started with a computer, but they're an electronics company, so they branched out to all types of electronics, from TV to screens to watches to phones, but they're an electronics company. That's what they are at the end of the day. So if you're a contractor, go into an area that you think has the greatest opportunity, get into that area, and build up your reputation where people trust you with that, and then you could start to migrate into other areas. I mean, clearly, you're not going to go in construction and then all of a sudden go into selling men's suits. You're going to stay in the area that you know best and just expand it to that and start bringing on people who have expertise. So if you decide to go from condos to doing commercial properties, that's a different space altogether, but you know how to put electricity, you know how to bring electricians in, you know how to get things passed through city government, you know all these different things. Now you just need to understand how do you actually go and build these types of facilities and get maybe some small retailers who would have you do it, or a small chain and do it for them. And so that way you can go and show somebody you were able to do it and do it with quality, so they would recommend you to others, and all of a sudden now you've got a reputation, and now commercial realtors are also going to suggest you for doing spec buildings for other folks who are doing it, or a retailer wants to get into an area, they're going to make that. And you're also going to network in those new fields. You're going to join those trade associations and network those fields so you can develop those relationships. Or you might just buy a small player in the space who may be looking to retire, but they've got a good reputation, and segue them into your business. You know, that's what a lot of very large companies do. They buy smaller brands and they just keep adding to those brands. You know, I stayed at a Hilton hotel. They now own 18 different brands in their particular space, and they range in all types of areas. But at the core of their business, their hospitality, but it expands in all types of areas. The next question is from Bashan Kavini. Bashan asked, how exactly do I make a buyer personal for my mobile app development business? How do I know I have created the right ones and do locations and affect personas like I do? I need to create a different persona based on each region I'm trying to target. He explains, I've been going through the materials in our AO portal and have a basic profile persona fields, but still confused about how to make them concise for my business. A little background, I've started a new mobile app development business in 2020 in India, and I've worked with 2 clients. Clients came through referrals. I want to have a steady flow of projects and inquiries, and I would like to target specifically and not at random. This is my first question, but from the materials in our portal, I have learned that it is better to target specifically than to target any and all. I know this might be a broad question, but any and all feedback would help. As for the clients, I've had international customers from UK and US, and they both were startups. After a while, they asked for features and changes for which they didn't have the budget for, and I lost the client and money. So I don't want to create a persona based on such customers, which would lead to a similar experience again. Currently developing AO app for our community, so that's a third project. And I would like to take our clients from across the globe. Would love to get feedback on how should I go about locations and the personas, and how do I affect them. First of all, I think you should take a step back and focus on industries that you think that you bring domain knowledge to, that when you talk to them about the app that you're looking to build for them, that you're able to differentiate yourself from everybody else. Because every day I am emailed on LinkedIn by app developers from all over the world, but specifically India. A lot of people developing apps, and they're telling me I can develop any type of app that they want me, that I'm looking for. I think that I'm looking, if I were developing an app, I would be looking for somebody with domain expertise in financial services or whatever I'm doing. So I think if you have a domain expertise in a certain area, then I would focus on contacting those kinds of companies and seeing if they have mobile apps. So let's say you decided, hey, you want to create mobile apps for independent realtors, somebody that's not connected with a national organization. you might, and you really understand that particular business because you worked in the real estate business. So you might contact them and say, I would build an app for you that has these different things. And once you create that app for them, then you can resell that to non-competitors around the country. But you have a domain expertise that you'll be able to show people. You'll be able to advertise, I build apps for realtors, and here is what those apps have. And so, and if there's anything that you would like differently, we can customize it for you. But if you basically go out there and say, I can go and create any kind of app, there's no differentiator from you, and then it all comes down to a question of price. But if you have an area of expertise, or you can bring on people with areas of expertise, let's say you get a retired realtor and they can talk that language and they could help you formulate the emails that you would send out to that particular group, so that group feels comfortable that they know that somebody that they're not just paying to learn on their dime, that they actually understand and have listed, here's all the things that we could create for you that would be the perfect app for you to interact with prospects and existing customers. So again, my advice to you would be, and this has been my own experience because I do this for my own businesses, I focus on the areas I have expertise on, target those kind of customers, and that's where I'm able to give myself a competitive advantage. And today you need to have a competitive advantage. Remember, in the beginning of website development, anybody could develop a website was really valued because there weren't that many people doing it. In fact, people would charge you $50,000 just for a site plan. Today, almost anybody can develop a website for you, and you can use GoDaddy and a whole bunch of others and get already made templates that you can easily do. So now there's no expertise, but people will still hire people to develop websites if in fact they're experts in an area. So I have a friend of mine who has a healthcare ad agency, and all they build is healthcare websites for pharmaceutical companies and veterinary pharmaceutical companies. That's it. That's all they do. And they're considered one of the country's top experts in this area. And people will pay a premium for that because they know they'll get a quality site that someone who understands their industry, and they're willing to pay a little bit more because they'll save them time and money over the long haul. The next question is from Kimberly Vincent. Kimberly asks, what policy or process would you recommend I implement into a contract between my business, Serene Workforce, and our associate massage therapy clinics in the event that the staff of the associate clinic are not providing satisfactory treatments to the employees we send them? As I do a SWOT analysis, this situation could be a possible threat that I would like to create a solution to. Thanks. I'm having a contract created between my company, Serene Workforce, and our associate clinics. We will be referring employees of the companies who purchase our massage program to our associate clinics for their treatments. We want to be sure the experience they receive is consistent and the massage therapists are maintaining our core values of our business. When we are treating the clients, we want them, and we send them. Thank you, we appreciate that. So if I understood this correctly, your company, Serene Workforce, actually sends massage therapists to therapy clinics, and those massage therapists use a process that you have agreed to or taught them, and you want to make sure that those massage therapists do a great job at those particular sites. And so I imagine that if in fact you're the one hiring them and placing them, that you have control over the process of training them and evaluating them, and that you are following up with customers to make sure they look good, that they've gotten a quality experience from your folks. If in fact you are not hiring these folks and you are providing sending just clients to these clinics and everybody has their own way of doing massage, then I would go and suggest to you that you go and observe how each of these folks are doing massages and seeing if in fact there's a consistency, or at least putting down elements of what you think a good massage should be, and that they have to follow through with that because you're sending them clients. So somebody goes to your site and they're finding these places to go to. So I understand it of one of two ways. One is either you're providing the massage therapist, you've trained them, and you put them at these places, or two, you're sending them clients and you want to make sure that wherever they go, they get a great experience, and you want to evaluate these massage therapists to make sure they're doing it in a way that your customers keep coming back to you and they keep signing up with you, and you keep providing these customers to them. So again, I would go and create a document that shows your process, a methodology for training, and also what the expectation should be. I would go and observe. I would make sure I go to my customers and get a score from them by surveying them and finding out how good these therapists were and where they might be lacking, and then I would take it from there. The next question is from Rohit Gupta. Rohit asked, what are the best or most necessary apps needed for a Shopify store? We create our online store with Shopify and realize that lots of apps, not sure which ones are most needed to have a successful business. I have to tell you, I've not used Shopify either as a customer or as someone who offers these. I'm not the best person to answer this particular question. That said, Shopify has folks that can coach you on this. There are people who actually have coaching services for this. There are probably people out there that you probably even have friends, or they have friends that know people who have stores on Shopify, and you can ask them. You could go to Shopify stores that are similar to what you're offering and seeing what apps that they use and what's successful. And Shopify has all kinds of statistics that they can share with you that can also tell you what will work best as well. But again, I'm not the expert, but if I had to know this, my process would be that I would go and talk to people who have Shopify stores. I would look at Shopify stores that are similar to what I'm offering to see everything that they offer and how they go about doing it. I'd go through the process of buying from them just so I can see what that's like. I would go to Shopify and ask if they have in-house consultants that could give you advice. And so all of those things would cover me enough that I would know enough to get started, test it out, and then I would learn on my own from testing these things, success and failure of it. Because somebody can't tell you everything, but they can tell you enough that you'll get started, because everybody tweaks things, whatever that business is, to match what they're looking to do, or for their own experience and knowledge, or what they think needs to happen for their customer base. The next question is from Martina Zavorinska. She asks, what sort of strategy do I have to do to achieve my target for this month to reach 2,500 points? Last minute goal. I'm in Herbalife marketing and personal training industry, all online. This month my goal is to get to, or even better, over 2,500 points, which seems like a mission ATM. Been messaging people, adding people on my social media, Facebook and IG, but not having much luck. I am determined, but how else efficiently to attract and sell nutrition programs? Thank you for your help. So I think you put the question out there, is anybody a type 2 diabetic? And if you would you like to be able to control your sugar where you're not using insulin? Are you trying to fit into your bathing suit this spring? Are you getting married and want to make sure you look your best for your wedding pictures? Ask a provocative question. People see themselves in the question. If you write that question and people see themselves, and then say, if you are in fact a type 2 diabetic and would like to make sure you stay off of insulin, These following products would be great for you. If you'd like to know more, contact me. If in fact you are getting married and you want to lose 25 pounds, these products will help you get your goal. So again, give people a question so they self-identify themselves. Give them an answer that requires them to give you a call and have a discussion, and give them some of the things and say, here are some of the things you can do. Call me and we can discuss an entire plan for you using our products to help you achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. And I would do it that way. The next question is from Yolinda Gouveia. Yolindi asked, I feel like I need to stop, go back and restart with the basics. I've had already started my business when I joined AL, and I don't have the basic foundation and processes down. Where do you recommend I start? I need a clear vision and roadmap and projections on where I'm going and how to get there. The background. We manufacture decorative throw pillows and pillow inserts. The potential for growth is huge. We currently do about $15,000 a month, but I need to at least double and triple that. I can't scale haphazardly. This needs to be very calculated and planned. We're a mother-daughter team that designs and creates custom decorative throw pillows for home and business branding. So when I hear home and business branding, that's two different marketplaces. One, of course, is the home. One is businesses who might be giving them away as gifts. So I would develop a plan for each and say, who is, and I would write all this out, who's the target market? Is this a high-end product that you're selling, or is it a mass-produced product that you're selling? If it's high-end and it's customized, you're going to charge more. So then you'd be looking at homeowners that might have a home that's valued at $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 or greater. Almost any more, like a middle-class home, it's $400,000. So maybe you're shooting for people who are willing to spend $700,000 or more because they won't think twice about having these decorative pillows, and they'll spend more on them, and they have more bedrooms to put them in, more couches to put them on. So whatever that may be. So think about who's the target market, who won't blink twice about whatever price that you're charging, and who have you had your greatest success with. And if you're selling $15,000 a month, you probably have a profile of your existing customers. So that gives you an idea of who you should continue to target. And I would survey those customers, ask them, both to see if they're repeat buyers, but ask them, would they recommend you to other customers? Have they recommended you to other customers? How would they describe your product? So if you can hear what they describe your product, and if there's consistency among your buyers, then you can use that as part of your marketing description for your product. And if you can get quotes from those customers saying why they like it, the more quotes you get, the better. I have a podcast called The Best Business Minds, and I have an endless number of quotes from both listeners and authors I've interviewed. And people are overwhelmed by those quotes, and they go, God, this must be a really great show. I should watch it. Now I have listeners from 51 countries that listen to the show, and I've only been doing it a little bit more than a year. So again, go and take a look at the buying patterns, who's buying from you. 2 is do a survey of your customers and ask them if they recommend it to other people. Do other people make comments when they come to the house? Oh my God, those throw pillows are beautiful. Oh, the quality is good. Ask them for a description about your product. If they were to describe it to somebody, what would they say? What are the attributes for it? Ask them also if they would give you a quote about the quality of the product itself, so you can list that on your website, so you can send it to people, so you can have it below your signature. Use it in all different types of ways. And if you're going to go after the business branding market, then you're going to people who are selling branded products like coffee cups and hats and t-shirts, and trying to get them to go and sell. And so if they can see there's big margins in what you're doing, that's great. If you're selling directly to the businesses themselves, then you want to do the same thing. You want to find out from them what kind of customers are they giving it to, so you can put on your site, here's how those pillows are used to help my customers get customers. If those pillows could be used to do that, that's great. I used to give out bibs to young entrepreneurs who or business owners who just had children, or grandparents that I'm dealing with who just had grandchildren. And I would send them bibs that would have our company name on it. And I can't tell you, those things were so popular that business owners who I'd send them to say, oh my God, I love the quality of it. It really holds up well. Could you send me 2 more? And we would say, sure. We send them 2 more. And so they would take them with them even to restaurants. And people would see our name. And we would actually get calls from people who we didn't even know, who said, oh, I saw this baby, and the baby was so cute, and they were wearing this bib. And I saw your name on it and what you do. And I thought I would give you a call. Oh, by the way, could we get some of those bibs? Because we have children, and that bib would be great, or grandchildren. So it works out great. So again, with the businesses, ask them who are they giving it to, and what the response has been, and what do the people like about it? Why do they pick these types of things to give away, and what industries? So you can even mention the industries that you cover. So with yours, there's all kinds of great marketing opportunities. I know, because I do a lot of outsourced chief marketing officer work, and it sounds to me like you've got a great business. You put 2 really good markets, but you need to write out 2 separate marketing plans and develop financials to also figure out what it might cost you to market. If you're going to be running Facebook ads or Google ads, and you have to be thinking about, how do I go about using Instagram to show pictures and have my customers show pictures, and how do I get them to show pictures on Facebook and then mention that. So again, lots of opportunity. Write it all out. Think about how your customers benefit and get feedback from them about what they tell other people and what they hear from people about your product. The next question is from Dan Rozumowski. Again, I'm sorry about these names. How much should I sell 20% for? What are questions I should review from this new partnership? I have a person I've worked with who wants to buy 20% of my company. He'll be a managing partner. He will take over all logistics and the operations of the business. I will focus on the sales and the growth. This will explode my business. This will save lots of money, lots of headaches on getting projects done. This is a simple question to answer. You could do one of 2 things. One is you can look and see what companies in your industry are selling for. 2 is you can get a valuation company who will come in and give you a valuation. Depending on the size of the business, valuation might only cost between $5,000 to $15,000, and it will be worth it for you to get a valuation, because that valuation can be used both for determining how much 20% of the company is worth, if in fact this person is buying into the company, but it gives them a sense of, you can also use that if you're getting a bank loan and sharing it with a bank that you had a third party come in and value it. They might not accept it, but it gives a starting point for what the company is worth. So again, if you're going to sell 20% of the company, you're getting cash. Get an outside valuation firm to come in and value your company. And get somebody who's valued your type of company, not anybody who just does valuations, although they all have a formula that's pretty much the same. Get somebody who would have credibility for you and your new partner. And also make sure from a legal perspective what's acceptable in your state. Like, what are the legal ramifications? For example, with banks, if you sell this person 20% of the company and you want to get a loan and he doesn't want to sign off on that loan, the bank won't give you that loan. So anybody who has 20% or more of the business, the bank needs to get them to sign off on any loan. They have to be also willing to put up assets. So you might say to him, I will give you 15% of the company, or sell you 15% or 19%, something below the 20% level, so you're not hamstrung. Because this happened to a client of mine. The one partner owned 20%, the other owned 80%, and the 20% guy said, I am not signing off on getting additional debt. I don't want any more debt. Because what happens is that if you own 80% and you don't have much in assets and he has a lot in assets and the business borrows $100,000, he has the same liability you do on the $100,000. So if that person's smart, they probably don't want to also own 20%. Maybe they only want to own 19%, but they might not be thinking about it that way. So again, you have to consider all of that. The next part of this is Sean Dramango is our next questioner. What are proven and recommended ways to launch an online service and obtain subscribers? This is a recent from Ask the Millionaire. I've developed an online service called Master Estimate based on a tool I created for managing the budget of real estate projects. Sounds like an interesting business. I've held a beta test period and now I'm ready to announce the official launch of the service. Master Estimate provides a framework for estimates that combine scope of work, deliverables, with a draw schedule of progress payments and completion points. This enables real estate investors, lenders, contractors, and landscapers to know the numbers at a project start and monitor the numbers to the project. I plan to initially target real estate investors. As I get subscribers, I'll enhance the service and target other users. I would actually think that contractors, especially small contractors, would really benefit. I actually created a model like this for a contractor in the Philadelphia area because a lot of people who do basements and do things in the home basically are sketching this out on a piece of paper and oftentimes undercharge to the client and in many cases end up losing money not understanding why. I think a real estate investor really probably would not be as interested in this. They're more interested in the value of the property, cash flow, those types of things. But a contractor would definitely be interested in how to estimate something, or a company that is actually constantly doing physical projects, like an electric company or a manufacturing company, those or a retailer who's expanding like McDonald's would be. They would probably be interested in having this kind of software available to them. So I think it sounds like a great service, but I would focus on folks who have the greatest need, and then I would find out how much time it saved them and put together a spreadsheet about what all these things would cost in terms of time to go and do. I one time had a company called Expert Speakers, and we marketed out to 5,000 trade associations and corporations. We had a spreadsheet that showed people if they had to do this themselves, it would cost them $18,000. But for us to do that for them, it's $300. So you have to figure in people's time and create a calculator that shows here's how long it would take if you had to do this yourself. But we've done this all for you, and this is how much time it's going to save. Still will be a hard sell because people hate to spend money on anything that doesn't automatically make them money, or they don't think it's an absolute must-have. Ricardo Delgado asked, should my business have an employee handbook or an operations manual? I have a barber shop and I'm looking to build the brand behind it. I want my business to be able to scale in the months and smoothest way possible. That way I can get investors interested. I'm actually working with somebody in Philly doing exactly what you're doing. And I think, of course, an employee handbook, which you can already get them pre-done for you if you're talking about an HR handbook. But if you're talking about how you go about treating customers, how you go about cutting hair, all of those things, then you might have a process and show them pictures about how you want different haircuts done. Or here is how I want you to operate when contacting a customer, both when we're getting them in, when they're in your chair, what kinds of conversations you can have, what kind of conversations you shouldn't have. Here's how I'd like you to follow up with them after they got their haircut. Because I can tell you, I've never had anybody who's cut my hair ever follow up with me and say, has anybody complimented you on your haircut? And that would be great for them to hear because, oh yeah, my gosh, I had 3 people compliment me on this. Well, would you mind sending me an email to let because I'd love to be able to post that on my Facebook or Instagram. And could you take a picture of your haircut and tell me what customers say, or could you say something about it? And so you're able to do that from a marketing perspective. But this would be all about the manual you would develop on how you want your people to go and handle customers. So there's an HR manual that you can go and buy right off the shelf, and you probably can go and contact hairdresser associations and find out who's already done this already and get the copy of what they already use. But you might create your own process and methodology, and then you're even marketing that to people. When customers come in, we have a process for how we work with our customers, both from welcoming you to aftercare programs, and you can call it aftercare. Well, what do you mean by aftercare? Well, let's say that you're not quite ready for a haircut, but you're going on a job interview and you need the hair behind your head trimmed a little bit. Just come in and we'll just do it quickly, no charge. So you can have all of that in your handbook. Again, you want to develop a relationship with people. You want to have a competitive differentiator. And for sure, you're running a barber shop. Once men come in and they find that they get a good haircut, and the only way they know if they get a good haircut is if their significant others compliment them on that haircut, or colleagues do, then they stick with that person. As a kid, I had the same barber cut my hair for the first 21 years of my life. Then I moved and I found somebody else that somebody recommended. I had that guy cut my hair for the next 35 years until he retired. And now I have somebody who for the last 5 years has been cutting my hair. So once people find a good barber, they never leave them. And they're just like doctors or lawyers. You typically keep them forever. Well, everyone, it was great speaking to all of you today. I hope you have an enjoyable weekend, that you get out there, enjoy the beautiful weather. I wish you great success in your business. I thank all of you for all the questions you've submitted. They were terrific questions, and I hope I was able to give you good answers. Have a great rest of your day.